G'day everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Now before we get into anything else today, I just want to say, if you're new here, this channel is all about keeping everyday Australians informed. Especially seniors, retirees, and anyone who relies on Centrelink payments to get through the week. So if that sounds like you, or someone you love, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because we cover this stuff regularly, and you don't want to miss it. Alright, let's get into today's update. There have been some pretty important changes to Centrelink payments this year, and honestly, not enough people are talking about them. Some of you might already be receiving more money without even realizing why. Others might be eligible for payments you're not currently getting. And a few of you might need to take some action to make sure you're not missing out. So today we are going to cover all of it, the new rates, what's changed, who's affected, and what you should do next. This is a longer one today because there's a lot to go through, so grab a cuppa, get comfortable, and let's go. So the biggest news for Australian seniors this year is the age pension increase that came through in March. Now if you've been on the pension for a while, you'll already know that Centrelink reviews payment rates twice a year, once in March, and once in September. This is called indexation, and basically what it means is the government looks at things like inflation, the cost of living, and wage growth, and then adjusts the payments to try and keep up with what things actually cost. And look, I know some of you roll your eyes at that, because the cost of groceries, rent, electricity, healthcare, it's all gone through the roof in the last few years, and sometimes these increases feel like a drop in the bucket. And I hear you. But it's still money in your pocket, and it's important that you know exactly what you're entitled to. The new rates came into effect in late March, and they'll stay at these levels until the next review later in the year. If you're a single pensioner on the full age pension, you're now getting around $22 more every fortnight compared to what you were getting before. That might not sound like a lot, but over a full year that adds up to well over $500 extra in your pocket. And that already includes your base pension rate, your pension supplement, and the energy supplement, so that's the full amount. For couples, each person got an extra $16.70 per fortnight. So between the two of you, that's over $800 more a year compared to last year. Every little bit helps when you're on a fixed income. And for couples who are living apart due to illness, maybe one partner is in aged care or hospital, both of those people actually receive the single rate rather than the couple rate. That works out to quite a bit more money overall, so if that applies to your situation, it's really worth knowing about. Now a lot of people ask, do I need to do anything to get the new rate? And the answer is no. If you're already on the age pension, Centrelink updates your payments automatically. You don't need to call anyone, fill in any forms, or go into a service center. It just happens. You'll simply see the higher amount land in your bank account on your next payment date. But, and this is a really important but, just because the rate updates automatically doesn't mean you can sit back and forget about Centrelink altogether. There are things you need to stay on top of. The most important one is keeping your income and asset information accurate. Centrelink uses two tests to work out how much pension you get, the income test and the assets test. Your payment is based on whichever test gives you the lower result. And if your circumstances change, your payment can change too. Now here's something a lot of people miss. Most people think about reporting to Centrelink when their assets go up. And yes, you absolutely have to do that. If you sell your house and suddenly have a lot of cash sitting in the bank, or you receive an inheritance, you need to let Centrelink know. If you don't, you can end up with a debt you have to pay back, and nobody wants that. But what people often forget is that you can also ask Centrelink to review your pension if your assets go down. If the value of your investments has dropped, if you've spent down your savings, if the market has taken a hit, your assets might now be below a level that entitles you to a higher pension. And Centrelink won't automatically adjust that upward unless you actually ask them to do a review. So it works both ways. Report changes when things go up, and ask for review when things go down. That's how you make sure you're always getting what you're actually entitled to. Now I want to talk about something that comes up a lot in the comments on this channel. And that is, how many Australians are actually missing out on the age pension, or getting less than they should be, simply because they assumed they wouldn't qualify. With the updated thresholds that came in earlier this year, more people now qualify for the age pension than before. The income and asset limits have been adjusted upward, which means some people, who were previously just over the cutoff, might now be eligible for the first time. The numbers on this are pretty eye-opening. Research suggests that well over 2.5 million Australians could be receiving more government support following these changes. And when you look at people who actually sit down and properly check their eligibility, about 1 in 3 of them end up qualifying for something, even if they thought they wouldn't. What's even more surprising is that of those people found to be eligible, the majority of them weren't receiving any Centrelink payments at all. They just assumed they were over the limit, or they'd applied years ago and been knocked back, and they never tried again. And look, I get it. Dealing with Centrelink can feel overwhelming. The system can be confusing. There's a lot of paperwork. And sometimes it just feels easier to not bother. But when we are talking about potentially thousands of dollars a year that you're entitled to, it's really worth taking the time to check. If you haven't applied for the age pension, or if it's been a few years since you last looked at your eligibility, I'd really encourage you to have another look. The easiest way is to use the payment estimator on the Services Australia website. You just plug in some basic information about your income and assets, and it gives you a rough idea of what you might be eligible for. It won't be the exact figure, only Centrelink can give you that, but it's a great starting point. And if you'd rather talk to a real person, you can always head into your local Centrelink service centre, or jump onto your MyGov account and send a message through there. Just don't put it off. You could be leaving real money on the table every single fortnight. Let's talk about a few other things that are worth knowing about as a senior dealing with Centrelink right now. The work bonus is something that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. If you're on the age pension and you do a bit of casual or part-time work, there's a rule that means a portion of your fortnightly employment income doesn't get counted under the income test. So you can earn a bit of extra money from work without it fully eating into your pension. And if you're not working at all, that unused bonus amount actually builds up over time, so when you do work, you've got a nice buffer sitting there. It's a genuinely good deal, and not enough pensioners know about it. Rent assistance is another one. If you're renting privately and you're on the age pension, you may be entitled to extra money on top of your pension to help cover your rent. A lot of renters either don't know this exists, or just assume they won't qualify. With rental prices being what they are at the moment, it's absolutely worth checking whether you're getting this, because if you're not claiming it and you're eligible, that's money you're missing out on every fortnight. Now for those of you who own your home, I need to flag something about gifting money to family. This one catches people out all the time. If you're thinking about giving money to your kids or grandkids, maybe to help with a house deposit, or just because you want to help out, you need to be careful about how much you give and when. Centrelink has strict rules around this. You can give away up to $10,000 each financial year without it affecting your pension, but no more than $30,000 over 5 years. If you go over that limit, the extra amount gets treated as if you still have it. Centrelink will count it as an asset and assume it's earning income for the next 5 years, which can knock down your pension payment. So before you make any large gifts to family, please talk to a financial advisor or contact Centrelink first. It's not something you want to get wrong. Another thing worth knowing about is advance payments. A lot of pensioners don't realize that you can apply to receive some of your future pension payments early. It can be really handy if an unexpected expense pops up, like a car repair, a medical bill, dental work, or something around the house. If you've been on the pension for at least 3 months, you can apply for an advance payment through your MyGov account or at a service center. The amount depends on your payment rate, but it can be a decent lump sum when you need it. You then repay it gradually from your future pension payments over the following months. It's not free money, you're borrowing from your own future payments, but it's interest-free. So if you're in a tight spot, it's a much better option than a payday loan or stacking up credit card debt. Good to know it's there. And one last thing. For those of you who struggle to manage a fortnightly payment, maybe it feels like the money runs out before the next one hits, you can actually apply to receive your pension weekly instead. It's not the default, but Centrelink can approve it, especially if you're having trouble budgeting week to week. You just need to get in touch with them and explain your situation. Alright, let's do a quick recap of everything we've covered today. The age pension rates went up in March as part of the regular indexation process. Singles got around $22 more per fortnight, and couples each got around $16.70 more. You don't need to do anything to get the new rate, it happens automatically. But do keep your income and asset details up to date with Centrelink, and remember you can ask for a review if your financial situation has changed for the worse. If you're not currently on the pension and you haven't checked your eligibility lately, please do. A lot of people are missing out simply because they assumed they wouldn't qualify. Things have changed, thresholds have shifted, and you might be surprised. And make sure you know about the work bonus, rent assistance, the gifting rules, and advance payments. These are all things that can genuinely make a real difference to how much support you're getting each fortnight. I hope today's video has been useful. If it has, a like on the video goes a long way. It helps more Australians find this kind of information when they need it. And if you've got questions, drop them in the comments. I read every single one, and I do my best to reply. Thanks so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and we'll catch you in the next one.